Sandra. Welcome to Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month, day 5 of my 31-day challenge. Yes, I'm going live every single day for 31 days on this YouTube channel. Thank you to all my new subscribers, and thank you to everyone who continues to watch and share and like and subscribe to this channel and tell people about it. And thanks for all your support. And on that note, I have to say that I did make a big boo-boo. Yes, in one of my videos, my last video, I kindly had Zoe email me in, who is in the book. Yes, hello to Zoe, and explain to me that I'd answered the question I'd asked with the wrong answer. So I asked, do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about it being fair or not? Now, I read her answer to do you believe sexual attraction and sexual desire are the same thing or different? So, yeah, I kind of like when I was reading the answers out, it flicked in my mind that one didn't seem quite right. But yeah, I just obviously didn't notice. I do apologise. I have got a lot going on at the moment, but I do admit it's my bad. I take full responsibility for everything I do that's incorrect, and I'm so sorry about that. So I'm going to read both of Zoe's answers out, and it's a really good talking point for today's discussion. So I'll read the answer that I read out wrong. So I'm going to read two answers to different questions from Zoe, just so you know the difference. So the question I actually answered, which wasn't the original question I asked, was, do you believe sexual attraction and sexual desire are the same thing or different? Now, this is really huge topic. Very, very interesting one. So this is Zoe's answer to that. So if you missed it on the last one, or if you got a bit confused, here it goes again. From my own experience, I'm attracted to the person on the inside, their mindset and all that it entails, not their physical body or appearance. I suppose if someone feels sexual desire, the urge could be satisfied with just about anyone, not necessarily someone they are attracted to as a person, as evidenced by the number of one-night stands and bar hookups that are so regretted the next morning. Example, I don't know what I saw in him, her, but I was so horny or drunk, so it happened. And yeah, I think that's the main difference personally between sexual attraction and sexual desire, is the fact that sexual attraction is when you're attracted to someone sexually and want sex with them. Sexual desire is when you want the sex itself. Um, you know, you've got the desire for sex. Usually they go in hand, but not always. Because I've been to nightclubs before. I actually like going to nightclubs, even though I'm asexual. Most asexuals don't go to nightclubs because they're introverts. I had another one of my followers. He emailed me from a newsletter and said about, oh, have you noticed how many, people who are asexual don't go dancing? And you should about doing research about it. For my research, I don't need to research it in the sense that I've already known why they don't. So I gave him my reply, which hopefully would have enlightened him, is because the majority of asexuals are introverts. They're not extrovert, and a lot of us, but not me, because I'm used to being in that environment, can't stand the sexual energy. Now, if a guy, a sexual guy I go on a date with, and it's just me and him, that's different. I can feel his sexual energy, and I can tell he wants me sexually, and that makes me uncomfortable and really makes me feel like gross and like I want to wet myself with the expectation that he's going to want sex and he's going to try whatever he can to get it on with me. So even though I'm super strong, it's just not sorry about that. I've got the window open. It's really hot in here, and I live in a beautiful city that has wonderful ambulance noises and trains going past because I live near a train station too. So, and this is live. I'm not. I'm live here, so I can't account for all noises. Sometimes I hear a massive plane go over too. Sometimes I hear like we have the army like not so far away from us, so sometimes they practice as well, things in the sky. But I digress anyway. That's the beauty of live video. I can digress and go off on lots of tangents, which I do a lot of the time. So yeah, I just think it's so. Oh, hi, hello, whoever's watching. Really nice to see you. Thank you for watching and your support. Appreciate that. So yeah, I'm going back to like, yeah, I do go to nightclubs if I can. A lot of my friends don't want to go to them. They're not really into clubbing, but I am, and I find that really difficult as an asexual because there's not many people that are. But going back to the sexual energy, yeah, I'm sort of not so. I don't feel so bad in a nightclub because it's kind of like the sexual energy's not aimed at me. And also, I'm sort of used to being in sexual relationships for half of my life. So it's kind of like I'm used to feeling that. But it's just if I'm alone with someone, I know they're coming on to me, basically. But having said that, sometimes in nightclubs, I do get a bit uncomfortable. Like, if a British, it's going to sound really bad, but if a British guy tries to come anywhere near me in a nightclub, I want to run a mile. If it's a foreign guy that I really find aesthetically attractive, I'm not so worried. But I don't want a guy to touch my backside, and there's places I just don't want him to touch. But I'm not saying that I'm completely like innocent in that way, in the sense that if I saw a really good looking foreign guy, then I might end up kissing him. It hasn't happened for years, but I mean, really long time. But yeah, I did let a British guy kiss me actually when I was with my female friends. I went to do some dancing. It was like a pub that turned into like a disco in the evening, like a club type place. Probably a clubby, but it's not a full club if you know what I mean. It's a pub combined with DJ. So anyway, I did actually let a British guy kiss me for the first time since 2012, about a couple of months ago. And yeah, but he didn't put his. I know this is going to sound gross to anyone who doesn't like tongs. It's going to sound really vile, but I didn't let it put his tongue right in my mouth, just a tiny little bit, really. And I didn't kiss him back because he's British, and it took me some courage to even do that to see if I could do it. Because the thing is I really attracted to foreign guys, and I really want a foreign guy for a relationship, an asexual one, but it just that hasn't worked out so far, and trying to get a foreign one in the UK is really difficult. So I'm trying to see if I can possibly like a British guy intimately at all, like close to me, like kissing me. And I mean, he was young in his 20s and short dark hair, clean shaven, so he's got like type of look I like. And for a British guy, he wasn't bad looking either. But I kind of like really need a foreign guy because I'm really super attracted to foreign guys, and it's really difficult. Anyway, going back to Zoe, because this is really important. So Zoe's answer that I should have answered in the last video was, do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about being fair or not? I'm reading from my Asexual Perspectives book in case you didn't know what I'm talking about. So this is Zoe's answer, and it's a really important one. It brings up today's discussion, but by her end sentence. So this is Zoe's view. I've had two sexual relationships with men. My reluctance to have sex is a lack of my reluctance to have sex slash lack of pleasure is in having sex was a primary point of contention. I did not understand why I had to do this even once a month, let alone several times a week. I can relate to that. I mean, I worked out when I was with my sexual ex for like 8.5 years, the most I'd even want to do it, as in it would be okay, was 4 times a year. That's once every 3 months. That was my tolerance level, if you know what I mean. It's like, and I know when I say want, it's not like I want it, I don't want it, but it's like, if I had to be fair to him and fair to me, once every 3 months is as fair as I really wanted to go. Many Right, this is Zoe's carrying on now. Many disagreements and emotional extortion ensued. At the time, I did not know the term asexuality, and therefore could not adequately explain my reticence towards sexual activity, nor understand their need to have so much of it. In my second relationship, which was a live-in that lasted almost 5 years, my partner was unfaithful to me. His reason being that he was not getting enough sex at home. I can relate to this as well. Well, this is not what my ex has said to me, but predominantly all my exes have gone off with other people behind my back sexually. What hurt me the most about this was his forming an emotional attachment to someone else. I felt rejected as a person. Personally, I find it difficult to believe that a romantic relationship between an asexual and sexual could work in the long run. The sexual may say he/she understands, but eventually will feel an overwhelming need for their sexual urges to be properly met. At this point, the unfairness to both parties becomes apparent. The sexual want more than masturbation and feel denied if it isn't forthcoming. And the asexual will feel pressured to provide sexual intercourse slash oral sex when they truly don't want it. And I think that's a really important talking point because if you follow my channel last year, you'll notice that I actually gave dating a heterosexual guy a go again. And the reason I did this, I put down to my actual book because someone is in it that is with a bisexual person, and they said sex didn't matter. It wasn't an issue that we weren't having sex. But when I dated the heterosexual guy last year, he knew that I wasn't going to have sex with him because I kept reiterating it. He never saw me naked, which I don't like nudity. I especially don't want myself being naked in front of a guy. I don't like it. I'm okay with seeing myself naked. I'm cool with that. But, you know, he did say to me in the car when we were going away together, when I say together, we were in separate rooms. He said to me in the car that, you know, he likes oral sex and he actually has better orgasms basically through oral sex than he does through intercourse. And he said to me, but you wouldn't like to do that, would you? And I'm like, do you know what I mean? It's like, no, I really wouldn't. I mean, this guy was older than me. You know, I don't usually ever be with an older guy. He was foreign and he looked younger than he was and he had the look I like. So he had quite a lot of qualities in aesthetically that I was attracted to. But even hugging an older guy took me some getting used to in the beginning. I was like really aware of my hands around an older guy's body, if that makes sense. I know that if you like older people, it's probably like really weird me saying this, especially because I'm in birth certificate age technically. You know, I wasn't older than him. In birth certificate age, I was younger than him by a few years. But you know, so it's kind of weird because birth certificate age, I'm older than the people that I get attracted to, but I don't see myself as that age. You know, sometimes there's women trapped in men's bodies, men's trapped in women's bodies, women's trapped in men's bodies. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, there's men trapped in women's bodies, women's trapped in men's bodies, and people just feel like they can't be themselves. That's what I'm trying to say. And I believe, you know, I have a mindset of 21 years and I live like a teenager. And that's my choice. I do that because it makes me happy. It makes me live the best quality of life possible and get a ton of stuff do and done. And I live my dreams because of it. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it makes me really happy. But I'm digressing again. So, going back to this heterosexual guy, you know, he asked me about the oral sex. And I think that it's just so difficult if you're asexual because if you're in a sexual relationship, you kind of feel like you want to pleasure them or give them some release or help them out because it's like kind of like what they want. You know, if you love the person and you genuinely feel they love you or they feel something for you, then if you're in a sexual relationship, you tend to want to please them a certain amount. If you know, especially if you don't think there's an alternative, like I didn't think there was an alternative, right? I didn't know about asexuality when I was with my sexual partner for 8.5 years. I didn't know there was asexuality. If I'd have known that, it would have solved a ton of problems because partly why I stayed with him, even though he was a bad guy, was because of the fact we didn't have sex that much compared to the majority of people. And I thought I was never going to get a guy like that ever again in my life, you know? And so I stayed with him because that was a major reason I stayed with him. You know, I felt like I wouldn't be able to be with anyone else. You know, I'd be expected to have sex, and the pain of having sex with a load of guys or one guy or any guy in the future, the pain of being in a relationship with when I say loads of guys, I don't mean like loads of guys at once. I mean, you know, potentially like when you're with someone, you know, you kind of like, even if they don't treat you very well, sometimes I've got self-worth now, which I didn't have back then, but sometimes you'd rather stay with the person because you know them and they're familiar to you than go out and on your own and like go into the unknown, as it were. Do you know what I mean? If you go into the unknown in a new relationship, it's all like you have to get used to the person again. Well, you know, I'm happy being single now if I don't meet the right guy, so that doesn't really enter into it anymore. But I honestly thought that I couldn't get anyone better than him in terms of the sexual aspect. You know, I did have sex with him, but it was like, you know, I didn't have to do it for a couple of months sometimes, and that was just so relief to me. It was just so relieving, and I just really liked that. And then when I did do that, I would like maybe do it 3 times in a row because I'd get it out the way, and it was just like and he made me in the least pain possible, and he did like give me pleasure physically in other ways, that I quite like some of the other stuff, but I don't like the intercourse. It's just like, it's just kind of really does nothing for me. I mean, of course it does something for me physically, but it's just not really my thing. I don't like it. I'm not really into that. It doesn't really fulfill me or do. I don't associate that with love either. So I think it's really difficult when you are an asexual and you're in sexual relationships. I think it's really hard because you have to make difficult decisions, like, do you compromise yourself if you have sex with that person? Is it self-abuse? um if you don't have sex, what's going to happen? What's going to be the outcome? And especially if you're monogamous and supposed to be in a monogamous relationship, you're always kind of worried that they're going to go off with someone else all the time, that they're going to find their sexual pleasure elsewhere. And I think that's really difficult. So to all the asexuals that are in sexual relationships with their partner, and they're putting themselves through the mill with having sex, and maybe they don't really want it, I just take my hat off to you for giving it a go for the sake of your sexual partner. Because I know what that's like. I've been there. And there was one foreign guy I was with. Well, I wasn't with him that long as a sexual foreign guy. I had a couple of sexual foreign guy boyfriends in the past. And this one guy, we split up, and I was just, like, and he was, he got back with me, but he was like, oh, I want sex, I want, and I'm like, why? And he's like, because I like it, and I'm like, but I'm like, I don't, really like it. It's like, so like we did that like, some more, and I just got so bored that I just couldn't stay with him. I really couldn't. And my ex of 8.5 years sort of came into my life as a friend back then. He didn't turn out to be a very nice person in the end, even though I stayed with him for a long time, but we were friends beforehand. And so, yeah, it was kind of weird. I mean, here was this what people would say was a hot guy, very good looking. Met him in a nightclub, which is not what I usually do. But yeah, I liked him a lot. There was chemistry there, even though I didn't want sex. And to all intents and purposes, most women would have loved to have sat with him, but I didn't. I just like, it was so boring. It's just like, stick it in. And and I just think it's just so difficult when you're asexual with sexual relationships. I really think it's tough. You've got to work out, like, what are you comfortable with. I had someone come to one of my meetups. I won't go into specific details because I don't think it's fair to them to go into deep specific details, but they were talking about they've got a guy who's been their friend for a long time, and that person's sexual. What do they do? Do they have a relationship with them or not? Because they're not comfortable with a lot of physical stuff. Well, if you're not comfortable with a lot of physical stuff, and you've got another person that really wants physical stuff, it's really, to all intents and purposes, not going to work out in the long run without one of you or both of you being unhappy, because you can't fulfill and satisfy each other's needs in that way unless you can come to a compromise. But to be honest, I don't believe in compromise, really. I know that's a really big thing to say because most people, yeah, they'll say compromise in relationships, but I see compromise as someone losing out. And yeah, so I'm not a big believer in the word compromise, even though basically that's what a lot of relationships are based on. I think compromise should be changed for something like, you know, you have to know your boundaries, and the boundaries that are non-movable and the boundaries that are movable. That's what I would say. So if you're going to a relationship with a sexual, if intercourse is off the table, right, and if that person wants intercourse and they need it in their life, if you don't give it to them, they are going to get it elsewhere. That is a really horrible thing to say, but it's the truth. They are going to go and get it elsewhere unless they have really, really, really strong willpower. But they might not be happy about their life because of that big aspect to that sexual. I know someone who's a friend of mine, and they are sexual and their partner's asexual, and they didn't find out about it till after they got married. And that person doesn't go off with other people, right? But they're not happy. That part of their relationship is not fulfilling. They don't feel as close to their partner like they used to do. They did have that in the past before they were married, so they didn't realise they were asexual. So yeah, it's kind of hard. But I think you have to work out what your boundaries are, what the movable ones are, and what the non-movable ones are. You know, it's like in any relationship, you've got to work out what is allowable for you, what you're willing to change. So basically, although I don't agree with the word compromise, you have to be willing to change and adapt in relationships, but you have to work out the boundaries, ideally beforehand, of what you will move and what you won't move. And you have to be willing to develop and grow yourself in the relationship. If you stagnate, if you're like, well, that's the way I am, is great, because this person should love you for the way you are. But if that's the way you are and you're hurting or upsetting someone, you either have to change, they have to change, or you have to leave the relationship. It can't sustain for ever and ever and ever, that type of relationship. Otherwise, you'll both be miserable. And it's much better to be single and have a good life and be happy with lots of friends than it is to put yourself through that or another person through that. You know, there's things that are no-brainers in relationships. So that's what I'm saying. You've got to have boundaries that are, when I say no-brainers, I mean it's things that, no-brainers is the wrong word to use. What I'm trying to say is there are things that are definitely what you wouldn't be acceptable to you in a relationship. They're like, you know, they're just off the table. So for example, with me, I can't be with someone who wants children, you know, because I don't want kids. It's a no-brainer, as in you don't even have to think about it. That's what I'm saying in terms of no-brainer. No-brainer is used a bit different in this context. It's not what it's usually used for. But it's a no-brainer for me that I don't be with anyone who wants children, because I don't even have to think about that. As soon as they say they don't want kids, that's it. So early on, when you're dating people in the asexual or sexual world, you have to find out very much. One of the first things you should be finding out is the basics. You know, you need to find out, do you want sex, do you want marriage, do you want kids, or are you willing to have sex, willing to have marriage, willing to have kids? Or are any of those or all three of them off the table? Like, I would never ever have physical kids of my own. Never. I've known that since 15 years old. I won't change that. Nothing changes that ever. I worked out back then if I'd wanted children, I would have adopted, but I don't want kids, you know? Of course I could. I'm never going to change my mind on the physical stuff. That I'm adamant about. And I'm not going to change my mind on the adoption stuff or anything like that, but I worked out that I would adopt if I wanted to ever. You know, I could adopt whenever I feel like it if I really wanted to go down that route, but I don't want that lifestyle, you know, it's not for me. In marriage, I used to want to get married. I was engaged at one point in the past, but I don't want marriage anymore. I don't, but you know, I know definitely no brainer as kids, 100%. No brainer as kids. I'm never having kids, you know? And I don't want to get married, but because I've been in the position where I've been engaged before, I know that before wasn't a no-brainer for me. You know, I'd have to think about that because I was in that frame of mind years ago that I did want that, but I don't want that anymore. Every time I think about the word marriage, it just makes me shudder. However, if I have feelings of love for someone, I can think of all the airy fairy marriage stuff like, oh yes, it's going to be beautiful, and we can go off in a silver carriage, and we can have horses, and we can have beautiful dresses. Not the real hard-hitting truth of marriage. It's very, very difficult to be and stay in a marriage unless one partner's doing what the other one wants, really. My parents have been married for 49 years. They're not asexual, 49 years, but and I love my parents to bits. I adore them both in terms of, like, I've got a lot of love for them. My mum's given me some money towards the trip for going to London to be a speaker, so I'm really thankful for that. And I love them both to bits. My dad, though, I think only my mum could be with my dad in the relationship, you know. Her personality very much suits my dad. And you know, my mum and dad are completely different people to me. My mum's a very traditional housewife, does everything in the home for my dad, cooks for him, cleans for him, washes up after him, fetches his food, makes the sandwiches, gets up early when he's going out to shows, because my dad's a blacksmith. He makes stuff on the forge, which is excellent. So my mum does all that type of thing for him, you know, does everything, all traditional housewife stuff. She literally is like a maid to him in that way. He even says that, which is disgusting to me. But he's my dad, so, and that's, my mum doesn't mind it, so that's up to them. And I don't mean that sexually. I mean a maid, like, as in she does everything for him in that way. Excuse me. And then, you know, I couldn't be like that. I'm the opposite. I'm very independent, don't want to do any housework for a guy, don't want to mother a guy, don't want to do anything like that. So I'm very, very different, you know. So in a relationship, I wouldn't be comfortable. You know, if I had a guy and he would expect me to cook and clean and do all the housework for him, that's not on the table. I don't want to put myself through that all my life. I know it sounds really weird, but it's a big deal to me. I hate doing stuff like that. It would make my life miserable. Why do I need to do that when I'm single? Hardly doing any of that for myself, only the basics when I really have to. And I have a lovely time. Yeah, life is for living, not for doing housework, in my opinion. I don't enjoy it. It's not pleasurable for me. Some people love cooking. I don't. I don't like cooking. If people want to cook for me, fine, but I usually eat out with my friends. I will cook the basics that I have to. But sometimes I'll just put rice in the microwave, have some vegetables, and have some tuna. You know, that's my meal. I don't worry about it. Chuck the paper plate away, chuck the tuna can away, and that's it. And I've digressed onto tuna now from talking about oral sex in the beginning, so I do apologise for that. But it's kind of interesting, isn't it, to just discuss various topics. So I'd love to know from you in the comments, you know, have you been in sexual relationships before? Have you had your partner say that, you know, that they like oral sex with you, they'd like you to masturbate them if you won't have sex with them, you know? I've done pretty much most things, you know. I've had intercourse, I've given my ex oral sex, I've done masturbation for them, you know, I've got on top of them and all sorts, massage and all the rest of it. There's a lot of stuff I haven't done, like BDSM. I don't have anything to do with BDSM, and that's a whole other topic. But personally, I hate BDSM for me, and I have nothing to do with it whatsoever. Yeah, nothing to do with it. Actually, I might, you know, I was going to bring up BDSM talking because it is in my book. Some asexuals do participate in BDSM stuff that's non-intercourse, but personally for me, I hate it. Nothing that I do or in relation to what I do in my life, as far as I'm concerned, is BDSM. You know, I had an asexual guy contact me a couple of months ago, and in a private message he started going on about BDSM, and I had to block him because I'm just not into it. You know, if people want to do it, that's fine, but just keep it away from me personally. I don't want anything to do with it. He was trying to get me to speak to someone else to help him out with some research he was doing, and I'm like, well, no, speak to the person yourself, you know. I'm not getting involved. And he started then saying that a cuddle is BDSM. I'm sorry, but since when has a cuddle been BDSM? Maybe I've got loads of people who are watching this channel into BDSM and they saying it is, but as far as I'm concerned, if I cuddle someone in a relationship, it's not BDSM, for God's sake. Sorry, but it just really makes me angry that an innocent thing like that can be turned into BDSM. And maybe, I mean, if you love BDSM, then obviously it doesn't make any difference. But for me personally, I don't like BDSM. You know, I do talk about it in my book. You know, I do talk about this. I ask people what they think of BDSM, and there are some people that participate in non-intercourse BDSM. There are asexuals, and if you go on the asexuality.com website, you'll see there's an actual group of people on there who talk about BDSM. But I wasn't going to go into this now, but I will, because it's something that's really aggravated me, you know. I'm a really young teenager in the way I like to live my life. I choose it. It's a conscious decision. And I just want to explain, right, okay? So someone was talking about age play in BDSM and kind of implying to do with me. And I'm like, one, I'm not in a relationship. Two, I'm single. I'm happy to single until I meet someone. And three, it's not age play. I genuinely, purposely have a 21st mindset. I trained my brain to believe I am 21 years old in the way I like to live my life. I've got another part of my brain that is a business brain that is slightly older, if you like, in terms of experience. And I live like a 15-year-old. You know, I've got cuddly toys all around my room because that is a choice for me, right? I don't believe in acting your age. I think if anyone is acting their age, they shouldn't be. I think they should be acting the age that they want to be in their life. Not because society dictates, oh, you're 50 now. I'm not 50, by the way. I'm way off 50. I'm much younger than that. But I just thought I'd clarify that. But, you know, people that are 50 years old, it's like, oh, you're 50 now. You can't do this. You know, they've got things especially for over 50s, you know. I mean, I would find that insulting. It's like, excuse me. You know, if I'm 80 years old, I still want to be swinging from theme park roller coasters, to be quite honest with you. I don't believe in acting your age, right? And this person was implying age play, and BDSM towards me. And I'm like, no, I purposely have a 21st mindset. I purposely live like a 15-year-old. I used to suffer depression for years ago, and I tell you, living a teenager lifestyle and having a 25 mindset is very good for business. I learned in business from someone who wrote a book, a business show, that you should have a mindset of like a 4 or 5-year-old in business, because if you have that, you have no inhibitions. You try things out. You don't worry about failing. You don't worry about, oh, I've got to succeed or I've got to fail. You just get on and you enjoy life and you experience life in the moment, and you're awake and you're alive, and it's just amazing. So this person, I learned even in business, we should be having like the mindset of a 4 or 5-year-old in the sense of curiosity. When you get older, your curiosity tends to die and all your fears tend to come in the way. You have all these fears and anxieties and worries about life because of what people have said to you, because of what people have told you, because all these people are coming at you, telling you what you should and you shouldn't be. And this makes us go really small and into our shell, right? So in order to counteract this, you have to try and change your mindset around. Go back to the young time. Go back to the time when you were innocent. Go back to the time when you were feeling alive and vibrant. Go back to the time when you were feeling that you could be who you were born to be and that you can truly live with passion in the moment. Go back to that time. I challenge you, go back to being young. Live your young self. Live your young self now. You don't have to be living in the past. You can have your young self here and now. And I teach all about, I'm doing a course about being happy, right? In the future. I don't even know if I've announced this yet, but on my Quirky Academy, I'm going to be releasing a course called Ignite Your Happy. It's been a very, very big secret, and I think you're probably one of the first people to hear about it, right? And it's going to be an amazing, amazing course, right? Incredible. And I've been doing it, some of it, before I had the Asexual Conference to prepare for, and it's truly, even I love the course. I'm learning everything I do. I kind of learn from myself. It's really weird. So whenever I do a book or I do, like a course or something, it kind of puts together all my thoughts. So even for me, it helps me in my life. So that's why, some people are like, oh, why do you do it? Like, if you're writing a book and you haven't got an audience for that book, like I just did an SSL book, and some people are like, well, why are you writing that? It's because I enjoy writing it. I've got a reference for myself. I know it can save people a ton of money if they buy that book. And it's good. It's good while I'm doing the SSL, getting a free SSL certificate. Why not? But it's just really important to be who you are now. You don't have to be the age that you are currently in birth certificate. You don't have to be that age, And I think it's disgusting that people feel or think that you can't be a different age because you just want to be. I just think it's disgusting. You can be any age you want to be. When I see people who are younger in birth certificate age than me saying, I'm too old for this, I'm too old for that, well, when you get to my age, it's like, for goodness sake, we're in the 21st century. Get some modernness in you. You can go back to being the young person that you were always meant to be. I love my life. Yeah, I suffered depression till 2012, and I completely changed my life around because I was fed up with everyone else in society. But most importantly, it was me that was allowing these people to dictate to me what type of life I could lead, because I was feeling bad about myself, right? Because I was thinking, if I live this life, like if I'm honest and say I don't like cooking, I don't like cleaning, I won't do that for a guy. It can seem quite mean, can't it? But it's not me. It's who I truly am. I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm cooking and cleaning for a guy. I don't want to be living with a guy. I would rather be up till 4 in the morning playing my music and... Oh, sorry. I'd rather be up till 4 in the morning playing my music and building a website than I would about doing the dishes and going to bed on time, like at 10:30 or 11, like a good little couple. I'm not into that. I tell you, it's not who I am, And I really think that you need to be who you're born to be. Yeah, so if you are into BDSM, fine. That's you, but it's not me. And I just don't like anyone implying anything like that, Since when, as living like a teenager, got so many rubbish connotations like that. Like, you know, it's ridiculous. I don't like it. You know, all the connotations. That, as far as I'm concerned, personally, I don't personally like BDSM. I don't participate in it. I know people do. I have a friend, asexual friend on Twitter who does. He's well into it, and his whole life is, you know, a lot of his life is focused around that on his Twitter account. You know, and I respect that. He bought my book. He seems a lovely guy. I really respect him, but he doesn't. You know, he showed me a few pictures once, and that was enough. You know, I don't like seeing those pictures, but I respect him and what he does, and I respect the fact he likes that. You know, there was a girl who was bisexual in my work, in my old job, and she was into BDSM. Yeah, she wasn't asexual, but the guy on Twitter I just mentioned is asexual. So she's not asexual, but she even had pictures of the chains and stuff on her phone. You know, every time I see chains or I see a thing around someone's neck, it actually makes me quite, you know, it makes my heart sort of pound, because it's like I associate that with danger and fear. I don't like people trying to control me. I don't like people having power over me. I don't like any potential abuse. You know, I see things as chains and collars and all that type of thing. I see it as a very controlling, abusive thing. And I know a lot of people, from what I understand, use BDSM to sort of like clear themselves and cleanse themselves. And I don't see it like that. You know, they're trying to heal their past childhood traumas. You can heal your past childhood traumas through other stuff. You don't have to do BDSM to do that. And I'm not convinced that it actually does that at all. I really not, you know. And I think it's important to be a one with your past mistakes or your past issues or your past problems, you know. Sometimes we have past issues and they don't ever go from us. They still stay with us, probably till we die. You know, I would love to say that we all get rid of our past demons, we all get rid of our past trauma, but it simply isn't true that we all do that. You know, it simply isn't true. Even if you do get over it, you still got, sometimes it flashes up in your memories and things like that. You know, I've moved on a lot from when I was a child, but for me personally, I still haven't got over all my childhood trauma. I really haven't, because things flash up that stay with me. But I try to use all that stuff for positivity going forward in my life. You know, I worked out the best way to live your life is to reflect on the past, to be present in the present moment, and to look forward and plan for the future. So you reflect on the past, you live in the present, and you plan for your future. That is the best way of living life. And if you want to live like a teenager, I think it's great. Living like a teenager keeps you young without cosmetics. Yeah, you don't need cosmetic surgery if you are living a young teenager life, because if you're in the young mindset and you're doing young stuff, you automatically start looking younger, feeling younger, being younger. You know, there's a lot of life is all to do with the power of the mind, and you can pretty much do most things using the power of your mind. So if you want to be younger, you just have to start acting younger, being younger, wearing younger clothes, doing younger things. That's what you have to do. I'm young because I love going clubbing. I like listening to dance music. I like listening to lots of the latest tracks. I like going to the latest action movies, superhero movies. You know, I like going to theme parks. Theme parks are seen as quite young thing to do. You know, and I love being vibrant, energetic, and enthusiastic when I talk. And you know, I get attracted to younger guys. I have predominantly younger guys as my friends. Like, I have guys in their early to mid-20s a lot as friends online, and I have some guys in person. You know, my cameraman that is coming to the conference to film me, the UK Asexuality conference, he is in his sort of going towards mid-20s, you know, and like, he's one of my best friends. The other guy that's one of my BFF, the other asexual guy that's coming, that's doing a guest spot on my talk about asexual meetups at the conference, he isn't in his 20s, but he looks like he's in his 20s. He acts like he's in his 20s, and we have an amazing time, and we just have so much fun chatting and talking. When it's the asexual meetup afterwards, we spent some extra time together, and honestly, we had so much in common. I was just laughing so much, and it's just amazing. So Be who you were born to be. If you want to be young, be young. You don't have to be what society dictates to you. You don't have to be that. It's same with being asexual. Be out and proud. Who gives a toss if people, if you think that's a swear word, I do apologise, and also it could have sexual connotations, so probably a bad word to use, but hey, it's language to me, right? I don't care what people think. If people don't like the fact I'm asexual, who gives a stuff? Nor monkeys. That's their life and their problem. It's not mine. And you should have that attitude going forward, you know. It's their problem. I know it's really difficult if you've got family, right? I appreciate that. If you've got parents or brothers and sisters that really are trying to erase your own identity, that is really tough. I understand that. I've spoke to people like that, you know, and I know it can be really, really tough. So I do, you know, I do get where you're coming from, but the only way forward in your life to be truly who you're born to be and not live in the shadows of other people and not live in the closet is by coming out and being loud and proud about it. You know, you have to do the opposite. You have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and you have to literally break through your barriers, and you have to literally say to people, this is who I am, this is me. You know, this is who I am, this is me. You know, and I am proud to be who I am. I am proud of who I am. You know, I'm proud to be asexual. This is me. If people don't like it, it's their problem. You have to get this in your mind. It's their problem. If they don't like something about you, it's their problem. It's not your problem. You know, I always have the mindset, right? These people that criticize you for being asexual don't believe in you or don't realize you exist or whatever. They won't care about when you die. Basically, I'm being really, really honest now. They won't give stuff nor monkeys, no two hoots about you when you're not here anymore in life, right? So why should you care about them when you're in life? Your life is so precious that you should be caring more about yourself than what other people think of you. Because if you don't, you cannot lead your true, authentic life as you were always born to be, right? I changed my life in 2012. Life changed for me in 2012, you know, and I no longer became depressed. And I could have gone the opposite because that's when I found out I have fibromyalgia, which is basically a chronic pain condition that affects the nerves and muscles of the body, and you have it for life. Like, I have a disability for life, right? It took me 6 months to come to terms with that, and I could have festered on that and worried. No, I didn't. Do you know what I did? I went to a business seminar, it changed my life, and I completely changed my mindset to positivity because I knew that I couldn't ever be in the mindset of depression anymore, because that would literally put me in a wheelchair on crutches like so many other people with fibro. So I have a 25 mindset. I live like a teenager. I got cuddly toys all around my room, and I'm so proud of the way I live. I'm so proud because I know for years that tears used to be my friend. I know that I used to be sat in the toilet for years crying my heart out because I was so fed up with life, depressed, and I didn't want to be here. I felt like dying. So that is why I live a teenager lifestyle, not because it's got anything to do with BDSM or anything like that. I have come a long way in my life. I am so very proud of myself, and I'm so very proud of every asexual that comes out there. I'm so very proud for you fighting on and knowing that you are asexual, and even despite that people just don't understand sometimes, you're still being who you truly are. You know, being asexual is a wonderful thing, but it can come with a lot of outsider problems. But you just have to remember they're outside you, they're not inside you. So long as you're fixed in yourself and you truly believe in yourself and you're truly comfortable with who you are, that's fine. The problem is when people come to asexuality, even myself, I was a little bit like, oh, where do I fit in the spectrum, you know? Where do I fit in, you know? What's all this asexual stuff about? You know, I'm not quite sure where I fit in. There's all these different terms, and when you're in that stage of asexuality, it's kind of, you're all over the place. So people can see your vulnerability, yeah? People can come in and see you go, oh, I might be this, I might be that, I'm not sure, right? And that might be genuinely how you feel, and it's okay to feel that way. But to an outsider, it's like something to stick their claws in, yeah? It's like, I'm gonna get you. It's a bit like a bulldog clip, yeah? I'm gonna get you now. Rah! You know, when a dog gets a cuddly toy and they're pulling it around, you know, and they're whacking it everywhere. My mum's got a dog that does that. You know, that's the kind of effect it has. But when you're firm, I'm asexual, like I'm a heteromantic, so I'm asexual, I'm a heteromantic. I don't like sex and I'm nudity repulsed. I have had sex in the past. Like that, I'm adamant about that. If someone tries to even say something to me about my asexuality, they just can't. You know, I'm out to the world. And the more you're out to the world about it, the more asexual friends you have, the more meetups you go to, the more asexual you talk to, the stronger your bond with your asexual self becomes. And then you come alive into this person that was the asexual that you were always born to be. You know, you need to live your asexual life. You need to live and be happy as your true, authentic self. And the quicker, the better for you. I was wishy washy in the beginning of my asexuality. I was like, well, you know, because I wasn't sure of myself. And the person I told first, who was my friend, you know, I'd known for a long time, she just poo-pooed the idea. You know, it's like, oh, you talk about guys a lot, you just don't know what you know, you just haven't met the right person, all those rubbish things, you know. And I was weak then, and she saw through that. But now I'm strong. You know, it took her a year for her to change her mind. I couldn't make her, force her, but I just kept going on about being asexual. So when you're asexual, one of the ways to become stronger in your asexuality, and you know, for people not to put you down, is to be strong, saying, I'm asexual, this is what I am. Oh yeah, I chat to this asexual, but just make a huge deal of asexuality. That's what I did. I bombarded them with asexuality talk, you know, and eventually they're sort of their, if you like, their sort of punch back, if you like, you know, they stopped punching because they can't, because that punch bag, it kind of explodes and their hands have to go back because they haven't got a leg to stand on. If you're adamant you are who you are, it doesn't matter what comes into your life. You are this shield around yourself that protects yourself. Say, I'm asexual. This is who I am. Don't accept it. Fine. Be on your way. I haven't got time for people who are narrow-minded or who can't accept other people for who they are, basically, you know. So I hope that's been informative for you. I've been talking now for over 45 minutes and my voice is starting to feel sore, and I've got to be ready for the Asexuality conference on Sunday, so I need to preserve my voice, and probably tomorrow's talk will be a lot quicker. And yeah, I've got a video to post as well, which is my unboxing video, because my friend bought me a fleece, a hoodie for the conference, but I didn't realise it was fleece lined, so I might not be able to wear it for my speech because obviously it's boiling because it's summer. But it's an absolutely adorable hoodie, and I definitely want to put it on my channel. So I promised him I'd do that, so I've got to do that soon. Anyway, I've got tons to prep still for the conference because I had loads of technical problems yesterday. Even my PowerPoint gave up halfway, so I've only got like 5 slides ready. And yeah, I need to go. So anyway, I'm going to love you. Thank you for the person that's been watching constantly throughout this whole entire video. I really appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. Lots of love. Thanks for your support. Take care. Bye bye.